Paige Bueckers, she ain't gonna be Caitlin Clark. Not now, not today, not ever. Sorry, it ain't gonna happen.
Why hasn't Middle America given Paige Bueckers the Caitlin Clark treatment?
Well, the ratings are out. How much Paige Bueckers is moving the needle? There's already statistical evidence. No, she is not moving the needle in women's sports or women's basketball nearly to the effect of Caitlin Clark.
One, it's going to be Paige. Paige Bueckers has had one of those moments again. Paige Bueckers is grabbing headlines, not for her performance on the court, but because she's apparently fed up with not being treated like Caitlin Clark. That's right. Bueckers seems to believe she deserves the same fame, the same spotlight, the same thunderous applause. But let's cut through the noise. She's not Caitlin Clark. And let's be real, she's never going to be.
Paige Bueckers has had one of the best careers in the history of women's college basketball. And looking at these ratings for the women's tournament, it is abundantly clear Paige Bueckers might be a star, but she's not a draw.
Paige is stepping into the WNBA expecting to be greeted with fireworks and sold-out stadiums like it's some kind of coronation. But what she's finding instead is silence. The crowds aren't showing up in droves. The endorsement deals not falling into her lap. Why? Because unlike Caitlin, she hasn't earned that kind of attention, at least not with her numbers, her performance, or her influence on the game. In this video, we're unpacking exactly why Paige Bueckers isn't Caitlin Clark, and why she never will be, no matter how hard the media tries to spin it. If you're riding with Caitlin, drop a CC all the way in the comments, because we're about to get into it.
A lot of people are saying, oh, everything is she was Caitlin before Caitlin, she's better than Caitlin, all this stuff. That kind of stopped in the media. Caitlin Clark put up better numbers in the WNBA than Paige did in college.
Disrespectful. Paige Bueckers is coming in while Caitlin Clark has been out here smashing records, dominating headlines, and transforming the game. Paige? She's mostly been out here giving interviews and playing the victim role, and now she's acting entitled to the same respect that Clark gets, the same Clark who revived women's basketball and made it must-see TV. It's not just tone-deaf. It's flat-out disrespectful.
Paige Bueckers is coming in, and she's going to be a driving force.
Clark is going against Paige and Dejanay. ESPN today, when they were talking about Paige, one of them says, I think Paige will be a good player this year, but I'm not expecting a Caitlin-like impact, and that's an unfair bar to set. Dallas Wings using the promo poster of Paige Bueckers and Caitlin Clark to hype that game.
Let's start with the facts. Caitlin Clark isn't just great, she's transcendent. This isn't your average superstar. This is a once-in-a-generation player. She's not only the NCAA's all-time leading scorer, she's the only basketball player in history, male or female, to post multiple 40-point triple-doubles in college. Her stat line? Ridiculous. She drops 30 like it's a warm-up, dishes out over 8 assists a game, and can either launch a logo 3 or thread a no-look dime with Hall of Fame precision. Steph Curry shooting range. Magic Johnson vision. She's got both. Caitlin's rewriting the script, while everyone else is still flipping through the table of contents.
Caitlin Clark was clearly heterosexual, handled herself with grace, just balled out and competitive as hell between the lines, but very nice, subdued, and hung out with her boyfriend off the court. That is a formula for disaster with the angry lesbians of the WNBA, particularly when you're Caitlin Clark and you dominate the scene, you dominate the ads, you dominate being on television and everything about television.
Caitlin Clark is unapologetically herself. Competitive as hell on the court, but calm, composed and low-key off it. She's graceful, focused, and keeps her personal life, including her relationship, private and drama-free. But when you dominate the court, dominate the commercials, and dominate the TV airtime, there's bound to be friction, especially in a league with its own long-standing culture, identity, and voices that haven't always felt seen in the spotlight. And when one player suddenly is the spotlight, it raises real questions about visibility, branding, and who gets to be the face of the league.
2025 WNBA draft average 1.5, the second highest ratings ever. So its peak was 1 million viewers less than the average for the Caitlin Clark experience. The viewership literally got cut in half. Hell of a lot of people said, Caitlin Clark's gone, I'm gonna do something else with my day. And of course, last year, Caitlin Clark came out. The WNBA saw its far and away biggest rating ever for the WNBA draft.
Equal billing. Let's not. 2025. WNBA draft. Now let's look at Paige Bueckers. She had a hot start in college, no doubt. That freshman season was promising. But since then, it's been a roller coaster, plagued by injuries, long gaps in play, and inconsistent performances. She hasn't cracked that elite 20-plus point average consistently, and her assists? Just okay. Meanwhile, Caitlyn's been dragging an entire program into national contention, game after game. And when it comes to crunch time, those final minutes, the pressure moments, Clark takes over. Paige? She tends to fade, but we're supposed to pretend they deserve equal billing? Let's not.
She is the chosen one, as they say. That may not be the case for Bueckers. For those of you wondering if Paige's acceptance into the WNBA will be different than Caitlyn, delusional fan base that follows Caitlin Clark disrespected the WNBA players by saying she's going to go into that league and tear it apart.
Even now, let's talk facts. When Clark hits the court, the world pays attention. Her games broke viewership records, topping NBA games on the same nights. Every major network wants in, because where there's Clark, there are eyeballs. She turned the WNBA draft into a full-on television spectacle, drew record crowds, and exploded ticket resale prices just by showing up when she plays. Seats fill, hashtags trend, and highlight clips rack up millions of views. This isn't just hype. It's dominance.
The Caitlin Clark effect is real. There's evidence of that in college women's basketball ratings, and there's evidence of that now in the 2025 WNBA draft on ESPN delivered the second most viewed WNBA draft ever, averaging 1.25 million viewers. The spin is real from the media.
They're here for Caitlin. Period. Meanwhile, Paige Bueckers got the full ESPN hype machine heading into the 2025 WNBA draft. But when the numbers came in, total flop. Her draft drew just half the viewership that Caitlyn pulled the year before. Half. That's not coincidence. That's proof that viewers aren't buying what the media is pushing.
Paige Bueckers ain't Caitlin Clark and will never be on the court. ESPN continuing their Caitlin Clark erasure agenda.
And let's be honest, Paige Bueckers ain't Caitlin Clark. This isn't about who posts the best workout selfies or delivers the most heartfelt press conferences. It's about real-world results, on-court performance, and fan interest. Caitlin Clark doesn't need a curated PR campaign. Her stats do the talking. She's the name people chant. The face fans drive hours to see. She doesn't chase the spotlight. She is the spotlight.
Caitlin Clark got beat up last year because Caitlin Clark was everything the women who she stood on the shoulders of weren't. She was a nice, straight girl that balled hard, had a different game, and it pissed everybody off, including the little gals on ESPN.
So when Paige steps in expecting Caitlin's treatment, the answer is simple. You don't get Caitlyn-level fame just for showing up. You earn it by dominating. And right now, the word dominance has one name next to it. Caitlin Clark.
Monica McNutts and the Chimmies of the world and all the other clowns at ESPN that have tried to paint Caitlin Clark as popular for one reason, and that being a white girl.
And let's not kid ourselves. The media is bending over backward trying to manufacture a rivalry, trying to prop up Paige as the next face of women's basketball. ESPN, sports anchors, social media commentators, they're all pushing this narrative, not because Paige has earned it, but because they're low-key panicking. Why? Because a white player from Iowa, with no interest in virtue signaling, just took over the sport. It's not about race. It's about how the game has changed and who's leading that change.
We want to see Caitlin Clark and we want to see Paige Bueckers.
Caitlin scored more points per game, but Paige was more efficient.